find yourself, we're so glad that you've taken this time to join with us. Would you stand to your feet and join in worship? Come on. When night has fallen, when fear is coming, still you're calling me. When faith is lost and my hope exhausted, you will be my strength. When my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. I've decided I'm not giving up. You won't give up on me. You won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo, echo in my soul. In every season, you keep repeating promises to me. Oh, now there's no stopping what you have started until it is complete. When my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. I decided I'm not giving up. You won't give up on me. Come on, you won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo, echo in my soul. For me, yes, I've decided I'm not giving up. 'Cause you won't give up on me. You won't give up on me. Your love, come on, you know, and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on, and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out, breaking out. Come on. Your love is holding on, it won't let go. Feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on, it won't let go. Feel it breaking out like an echo, echo in my soul. Oh, soul. Come and make your throne upon our praise. Here in this place, have your way. The moment that we see you, we are changed. Show us your glory. Show us your glory. In wonder and surrender we fall down. Show us your glory. Show us your glory.
are so happy to have you as well. Now, normally when I'm up here, it's all sequins and glitter because I'm hosting Girls Night Out, right? Okay, so that's coming up on August 21st, by the way, so hashtag save the date. But today I get to come to you as a Dream Team member and a missions coach. My name is Jess, and I've had the honor of serving with our Adopt-A-Block teams for 3 years. As many of the children we serve every month are headed back to school in one form or another, we want to partner with them to make sure they have everything they need. On the side screens, you'll see the supply items that we're going to be collecting. So if you want to go ahead and snap a picture of that, it's also going to be posted on our socials later. You can collect these items and bring them back to church with you over the next couple Sundays, or you can also hit up our Amazon wish list to buy and have it shipped straight here to the church. So to continue to return your tithes and offerings as we continue to worship, just aim your camera at the QR code behind me, and it'll take you straight to our digital platform. The offering stations at the back of the worship center are also available. Now, I have to ask you guys, have you been enjoying this playlist series as much as I have? Yeah. So for the last time this series, let's give it up for our hosts, Pastor Alex and Ashley.
What is up, Freedom Church? Ashley, it is week 4 of Playlist. We're so glad you guys are here. By the way, my name is Alex. I'm one of the pastors on staff.
And my name is Ashley.
And together we make
Ashlicks.
In the early 2000s, comedy roast was big, and so we thought it would be fun to roast some of our favorite things about the 2000s. Like in 2001, the iPod came out, which Pastor Jeff, he's so old, he still has his original iPad.
Boom roasted Pastor Jeff.
Boom roasted.
Then in 2004, Facebook was created, revolutionizing the way we communicate. Also, giving a place for Karens of the world to write lengthy posts about their encounters with the manager for us to read.
Boom roasted. In 2005, our favorite TV show, The Office, came out. That's right, debuted right then.
Love The Office.
And it honestly is the only reason any of us pay for Netflix.
Boom roasted Netflix.
Boom roasted.
Then in 2006, the band Nickelback soared to popularity.
We all love Nickelback.
Everyone loved them. Their song Photographed was highly popular. I'm totally kidding. Nobody likes Nickelback.
Boom roasted Nickelback. I think we got time for one more roast, Ashley.
In 2008, the romantic film Twilight was released, making us as a nation choose sides. You're either Team Edward or Team Jacob.
Team Jacob.
Pastor Alex has got to know, which one are you?
I'm team neither because it's irrelevant and pointless and
You
dumb.
are absolutely wrong. Everyone knows you are Team Edward, right?
No.
No?
No.
Team Jacob, boom, roasted.
No, team bro. Hey, thank you so much for being here, y'all. And for one more time, Freedom Worship would like to show you our favorites from the early 2000s.
When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. He said, son, when you grow up, would you be the savior of the broken, the beaten, and the damned? He said, will you defeat them, your demons, and all the non-believers, the plans that they have made? Because one day I'll leave you a phantom to lead you in the summer, the joy of the Black Parade. fall. Nothing is forever. Then what makes it, then what makes it, then what makes it, then what makes it another exception? Oh why, oh why, why, oh why, oh why, oh why you still denial when you know you're not happy here? Hey, yeah. Come on. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah.
Oh, 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 oh. And now that you're out of my life, I'm so much better. Thought that I'd be weak without you, but I'm stronger. Thought that I'd be broke without you, but I'm richer. Thought that I'd be sad without you, I love harder. Thought that I wouldn't grow without you, but I'm wiser. Thought that I'd be helpless without you, but I'm smarter. Thought that I'd be stressed without you, but I'm chilling. Thought I wouldn't sell without you, so not million. I'm a survivor, I'm not gonna give up, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder, I'm a survivor, I'm gonna make it. I'm a survivor, keep on surviving. I'm a survivor, I'm not gonna give up, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder, I'm a survivor, I'm gonna make it. I will survive, keep on surviving. Wishing you the best, pray that you are blessed with much success, no stress, and lots of happiness. I'm not gonna blast you on the radio, I'm not gonna lie with your failure, I'm not gonna hate you in the magazines, I'm not gonna compromise my Christianity. You know I'm not gonna dish you on the internet, cause my mama taught me better than that. I'm a survivor. Your love and I want your revenge. I want your love, I don't wanna be friends. Je veux t'amour et je veux te revoir. Je veux t'amour, I don't wanna be friends. I don't wanna be friends. I don't wanna be friends. What's your bad romance? What's your bad romance? I want your lover and I want your revenge. You and me could write a bad romance. I want your love and all your lover's revenge. You and me could write a bad romance. Oh, 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 caught in a bad romance. Oh, 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 caught in a bad romance. Ra ra Roma Roma ma ga ga ooh la la. Want your bad romance.
Maria, Maria. She reminds me of a West Side Story. Growing up in Spanish Harlem. Oh, she's living a life just like a movie star. Oh, oh, Maria, Maria. Oh, yeah. Love in East LA. To the sounds of the guitar, yeah. Played by Carlos Santana. Come on. Said I'm rolling, Coca Lotus. The streets are getting hotter. There is no water to put up the fire. Nigo de Esperanza. Sierra Maria on the corner, picking them ways to make it better. Look up to the sky, hoping them days of paradise. Yeah, oh, yeah, oh. Hey.
These fancy things will never come in between. You're part of my entity, here for infinity. When the war has took its part, when the world has dealt its cards, if the hand is hard, Together we'll mend your heart. Because when the sun shines, we'll shine together. Told you I'll be here forever. Said I'll always be your friend. Took an oath, I'ma stick it out to the end. Now that it's raining more than ever, know that we'll still have each other. You can stand under my umbrella. You can stand under my umbrella. Ella, Ella, eh, eh, eh. Under my umbrella. Ella, Ella, eh, eh, eh. Under my umbrella. Ella, Ella, eh, eh, eh. Under my umbrella. Ella, Ella, eh, 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 eh.
Look, if you had one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted, one moment, would you capture it or just let it slip? His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud. He opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's joking now. Clock's run out, time's up, over, blah. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. Choke, he's so mad, but he won't give up that easy. No, he won't have it. He knows that his whole back's to these ropes. Don't matter, he's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stagnant, he knows when he goes back to this mobile home, that's when it's back to the lab again. Yo, this whole rhapsody better go capture this moment and hope that it don't pass. Lose yourself in the music, the moment you own it, you better never let it go. You only get one shot, do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You better lose yourself in the music, the moment you own it, you better never let it go. You only get one shot, do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. Oh!
Hey, if you're joining us online right now and you have enjoyed playlists, would you just give some love in the comments right now? If you enjoyed it right here in the house, would you give some love to the band for having some fun? To our production team over the last few weeks for doing so much work, having some fun. And you guys can have a seat if you will. If you have never heard that song and just on a run or trying to get to the end of a work day or trying to go and ask your girl out for the first time or whatever it was and thought, man, I only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. Because what? Opportunity comes once in a lifetime. Once in a lifetime. Have you ever had those thoughts of like, you may lose yourself, you may lose a moment in time, you may lose a decade? You ever thought about that? You may lose a whole decade. That's what I remember about the year 2000 is the Y2K fiasco. Do any of y'all remember this? Remember the Y2K fiasco? If you don't remember it, I'll catch you up just a little bit. So basically, there was an error by our computer programmer types. How many of you work in IT? Computer programming of some kind, you work in IT, y'all don't mess up very often. Like, y'all are detail people. Like, we trust that you're gonna make the trains show up on time and stuff, right, you know? But when computer programmers had started to program everything, they had put in 2 digits for the year. And that's pretty normal, right? I mean, you put 01, 31, 05, 95, whatever, we put all that. But they had never thought through the fact that when it got to 01, 01, 01, that all of the airplane systems were going to believe that it was 1901, which is not good for airplanes because they weren't even invented yet. And so there was this like freak out of like, what is going to happen when it turns over to 2000, when it turns over to 00, when it turns over to a new year? Is the whole decade going to be lost? And there was this hysteria that began to happen. Like within Connie and I's family, there were people who dug wells because they believed that the water system was going to shut down. Any of y'all have family members like that? Just me. Like we had someone in our family who bought 4 years worth of dried food, like that the military eats, and hid them in their attic from their wife so that their wife wouldn't know that they had spent thousands of dollars on dried food. I had another family member who cashed out 401ks and cashed out all the money and went and traded it for junk silver and gold. Come on, somebody. I had another family member who was starting to buy cigarettes. Why? Because when the world starts to fall apart, people are going to want to buy cigarettes. It'll be a currency, he said. And so he had cigarettes because he was going to trade for them so that he could get food when he needed it. We put the fun back in dysfunctional in our family. And guess what? These were the OG preppers, man. These people now, they've been prepping. They think they're prepping, man. There were bunkers being built. There were books being written about the fact that it was the absolute end of the world. Not as we know it, REM, just period. The end of the world. And so 1999 rather, we're waiting for it to roll over to 2000, and we're sitting on the edges of our seats because we're just waiting, like the power grid might go off. Computers won't work, which we didn't even use computers that much then, but we were really, think about now. If we told you your computer wouldn't work tomorrow, you would be like, I'm dead, I'm out. You just fall out. But we were like, computers might not work. We might not have food. I don't know why we wouldn't have food immediately, but people were worried about that. We might not have food, and we just sat, and as the ball dropped and everything turned over, we were like, nothing. You know what happened? Literally nothing happened at all. Nowhere. Nothing happened in the year 2000. When it rolled over into the new decade, we didn't lose anything at all. And so 20 years later, it's like 2020 was like, you know what, 2000, you didn't do so good with mass catastrophe. So here, hold my beer because I'm going to show you how to have a disruptive kind of, turnover into a new year. But anyway, and so nothing happened, but there was this whole hysteria. Why? Because we thought we were going to lose everything of a whole decade. We thought that it was going to be lost. We thought all of the stuff we had backed up on our computers might be lost. We thought our time, the way we kept it and the way that everything was going on might just be lost. Nothing happened, and yet for many of you, you know what it feels like to have lost time. You know what it feels like to have lost a decade. Maybe you entered into your 30s and you thought, I didn't get the things done that I wanted to get done in my 20s. What happened? Maybe you've gotten to 60 and you realized a few decades passed by and you didn't meet some of your goals. It's lost time. It's the loss of a marriage that you've invested in. Maybe you're joining us right now and you're going through some stuff and you've been through a divorce and you've only ever imagined your life in the future with that person. You imagined raising your kids together, and you imagined vacations together, and you imagined, celebrating together, and you imagined going through hard stuff together. And now you go, man, all of the investment that I made, it's like a computer turned over to another year, and all of that was lost. Now when you look into the future, you have to figure out what it looks like without them. And that's different. And it feels like you only had one shot and you missed your chance. An opportunity that came once in a lifetime. And you go, where did it go? It's the loss of a relationship, not a marriage, but a friendship. a friendship relationship. I know Connie and I, we have mourned the loss of relationships before. People that we thought that we would do life with forever till we ended our lives. People that we thought we would vacation with, and all of a sudden we're not in relationship anymore. And you mourn the loss of relationship. You mourn the loss not just because of what you can remember and how the memories become sad, but you mourn the loss because there's now not a future for that relationship. And it's hard. And maybe for all of us, we could think about the loss of these past few months. I mean, is it just me, or does it often feel like 2020 is just a lost year? Anybody else feel that way? I mean, you had plans. You were going to go on that cruise. You were going to go to Disney. You were just going to go out without having to wear a mask. You didn't even know what a mask was. Like, you had plans. And I can often get in this thing. I've had this thought the last couple of months on several occasions. I'm like, what are my kids missing? What are they not going to get to do? Like I was thinking the other day about, will there be Little League flag football? And I mean, that's a small thing, right, in the grand scheme of life. But I was thinking about it, and this would be the last year that my boys will get to play together on the same team. And I don't know yet. Like, is that going to happen? We don't know. We don't know. Is it going to be able to put stuff together like that? And so there's all kind of little micro examples for all of us of this 2020 feeling like, man, it was lost. I had plans. I was going to do stuff, and feels like a loss in the moment. And that's where I want us to dive in to the book of Genesis today. If you've noticed, we've been spending all of our time during playlists this year in the book of Genesis. We've been going through the decades towards our destiny in our songs, and we have also been spending some time in the book of Genesis, the very first book of the Bible, to go through the decades of our original creation and what God has done and shown us. And so we're going to be in Genesis one more time, and we're going to look at this young man in the book of Genesis named Joseph. Now, I know if you are a reader of the Bible, a biblical scholar, you know that we've skipped a few names here that are pretty important in the book of Genesis as we go from Noah all the way to Moses and now all the way to Joseph. We've skipped Abraham, pretty important, right? We skipped his sons Isaac and Jacob, and our son Isaac rather, and his sons Jacob and Esau, and we've skipped all of them. But today I want us to land a little bit into Jacob's family. So he's the son of Isaac, brother of Esau, because I want to kind of pull out of his family tree this man, this son of Jacob named Joseph. And Joseph's story is one that is so helpful to us because we learn to deal with the seemingly lost things in life through Joseph. We learn to deal with disappointment through Joseph. We learn to deal with destiny through Joseph. We learn what it really means to have a destiny in the Bible, because oftentimes we equate destiny with easy. We equate destiny with like, oh, we just get everything we want, right? No, but Joseph shows us something different. So let me catch you up just a little bit on Joseph. Genesis chapter 37 is where we are introduced to Joseph. And Joseph was Jacob's youngest son, and he was definitely daddy's baby. Like, I mean, any of you guys got daddy's baby? Are y'all daddy's baby? Anybody? If you are, your sibling will let you know later if you don't admit to that. You are daddy's baby. You've always got that twinkle in daddy's eye. Joseph would, one of the ways he earned this is he would report back to Jacob about his brothers. Now, the older brothers and you, if you have younger brothers, we'd call that tattling, is what we would call it, right? But Joseph, he would kind of see things that his brothers weren't doing that, he thought his father would appreciate, and he'd go back and, Father, you probably need to know that. Did any of you, who had the younger brother who always told on you? Did anybody have that? You were the one who would, you beat him up, and then he would go tell, and so then you have to beat him up again, and then it's just a cycle. It's just a cycle of the way it goes. And so he'd go and tell on him, and then so Jacob, though, he loved Joseph so much that he showed it not only with the daddy's eyes and all of the extra attention, but he gave him a pretty sweet gift. He gives him this robe in the Bible. If you've heard of Joseph, you've probably heard of his multicolored robe. There's even a Broadway musical about Joseph's multicolored robe. It's kind of a famous robe that he got. And so Joseph gets this robe. And this makes his 11 brothers hate him even more. I mean, they already hated him. And now, all of a sudden, his dad's giving him these sweet gifts, and they're not getting any multicolored robes. And so the hatred begins to build up for them. And so while they're on this kind of trip out to do something and kind of do some shepherding and do some trading and stuff for their father, the brothers get this idea of like, hey, let's just kill Joseph, right? I mean, let's just get rid of him. There's 11 of us, or 12 of us. There's plenty of us. We don't need Joseph. It'll take a couple of weeks before Dad even notices that he's missing. Have you ever had, when you have a big family, sometimes one can go missing in the store for just a little while. Not long, but just a little while. So they're like, it'll take a while. And so we join them in Genesis chapter 37 in verse 5. We join them there, and we have seen through what's going on. In Genesis chapter 5 through 11, rather, I'm kind of mixed up on my scripture. Hold on just a minute. It says, makes 11, and they join Genesis 35, where Joseph tells his brothers about this dream that he's having. So we haven't quite gotten to the fact where they want to kill him yet. Genesis chapter 37, verse 5 says this. One night, Joseph had a dream, and when he told his brothers about it, they hated him more than ever. So they already hate him because of the robe. Now I'm getting you caught up to why they'd want to kill him. They hate him even more. Listen to this dream, he said. We were out in the field tying up bundles of grain. Suddenly, my bundle stood up, and your bundles all gathered around and bowed low before mine. So Joseph says, I had this dream. And I know you already hate me because Dad gave me this sweet robe. But let me come out in my robe and tell you about the dream that I just had. And we had these bundles, and your bundles bowed low before mine. His brothers responded, so you think you will be our king, do you? You think you'll actually will reign over us? And they hated him all the more because of his dreams and the way he talked about them. Soon, Joseph had another dream. And again, he told his brothers about it. Listen, I have had another dream. So Joseph didn't catch on to the fact that they didn't like his first dream. He comes and tells them about another dream. He said, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars, he's pointing out to them that you guys, 11 stars bowed low before me. This time, he told the dream to his father, as well as to his brothers, but his father scolded him. His father's like, dude, stop with this dream stuff. Stop telling your brothers about your dreams. What kind of dream is that? His father said. Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow to the ground before you? But while his brothers were jealous of Joseph, his father wondered what the dream meant. So his father was actually taking some time to figure, hey, what's going on with this dream? But the brothers hate him even more. So he goes and he tells them this dream. And he tells them that they're gonna bow before him. And he tells them all this stuff. So, but what we got to see in the scripture is Joseph had a dream. Like he had a dream for the future of his life. And this dream made his brothers mad, but this dream was something that God was trying to speak to him in. This dream was something that God had given him. That he had a dream. Joseph had a dream. And the reason that I think many of us feel like something has been lost in our lives is because we had a dream. We had a dream for what life would look like. As we think back to the 2000s, for a lot of us, a lot of the folks in this church think back in the 2000s, and that was a part where a lot of your dreams were starting to come into your head and into your mind, and you think back to everything that was going on in the 2000s, and you think back to maybe it was college for you, or maybe it was just you were just getting into your career for you, or maybe you were just ending high school, or maybe you were just having that first kid, and you're thinking back on it, and you're like, man, we had some dreams. And as you think back, you listen to the songs, and you go, man, that seems like it was just yesterday that we were hearing that song. Can you believe? I saw recently on Netflix that Back to the Future is 35 years old. I was like, oh my goodness, like time passes by. And so you go to year 2000. Year 2000 wasn't that long ago. And yet I remember, looking longingly to the year 2000 with dreams. And I remember in 2000 going, oh my goodness, this is going to be my decade. And now it's been 2 decades. And the reason that many of us feel like something has been lost is that in many ways we haven't accomplished our dreams. It doesn't feel like we've lived out our dreams. The dreams for 2020 that you had, the goals, the vision that you had, dreams for the summer vacation, dreams for the marriage, dreams for your kids, dreams for the business or the career that you had, and now you're like, we had dreams. Joseph had a dream. Like, I had a dream. Thought I'd have a kid by now, but infertility has robbed me of that dream. I thought I'd be married by now. All the good guys seem to be already taken. I feel like I'm gonna have to settle. Thought I'd still be married. I'm not. Thought I wouldn't be going through this financial crisis in 2020. We thought we'd be retiring in 2020. And now our 401k, the bottom dropped out of it for a little while, and we don't know what we're going to do. There's one thing I often wondered about Joseph and his dream, and it might be pertinent to us and our dream as well, though, is why did he feel the need to tell his brothers, his dad, and his mom all about his dream? Have you ever thought about that? I mean, surely Joseph had picked up on the fact that his brothers didn't like him. Like, when someone doesn't like him unless you were just totally socially unaware, right? I mean, you kind of pick up on the fact of, oh, I don't think those people like me. And I don't think that they have my best interest in mind. And so surely he had picked up on the fact that his brothers didn't like him. And so I have to wonder about Joseph, because I know a little bit about my own self, and I certainly know a little bit about human nature, pastoring for 28 years now. I know a little bit, and I go, so I wonder whether Joseph was sharing his dream in order to inspire, or whether he was sharing his dream in order to gloat. I wonder whether he was going back to his brothers and going, hey, I gotta tell y'all something. You're gonna bow down to me one day. That's what's gonna happen. Hey, I know that surprises you. Hey, Dad, I just found out you and Mom one day y'all think I need to bow down to y'all. Y'all are gonna bow down to me. Was he going to inspire them? Like, man, I wanna bring you forward in your life, or was he going to gloat? And I don't know. I don't know for sure that we'll be able to know until maybe we can have a chat with Joseph one day in heaven, but I can say that it's worth asking ourselves why we are so quick to share the dreams that God gives us. I've had God drop something into my life before, and rather than want to go to him about it, and rather than want to ask him what my next step is, or rather than just enjoying the moment, maybe God would drop a moment into my life. You know what I'm talking about? Where you're just having one of those moments where you're like, this is good. This is good. Life is good. You're watching the kids. You're enjoying your spouse, enjoying company, enjoying just what's going on. And you're just like, man, good food, good music, whatever it is. And you just have that moment where God drops something into your life, or maybe he just gives you, you're living the dream. Like you're literally living out. And I have those moments, and it's not like I want to go be thankful to God, or I want to go pray and ask God to help me or get to that dream or clarify the dream for me. But what do I have the temptation to do, and you have the temptation to do? To share it, right? To post about it. In our society, we can't even hardly live our lives because we're posting about them so often. And so I have to ask myself the question about that in this new social media age is, am I so quick to want to post, my meal so that I can go, this is how I eat every day. Boom. Hall Steakhouse. Hashtag. I eat here all the time. This is my life. When normally it's like, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and some grapes, right? Some cereal for dinner. But why am I so quick to post? I've tried to stop doing this, honestly, because I found myself, I'd be out with somebody, like a person. And I'm like, hey, let's get a picture. Because did you even really go to lunch with your friend if you don't, hashtag it, hashtag selfie, so that everybody knows you got a friend, So that all the friends that weren't invited to the lunch know, look at us. So that one friend you're kind of mad at and you want them to know they weren't invited, you're like, look at us, look who I'm shopping with, look who I'm with, hanging out with on this weekend, right? And so I wonder sometimes if we are so quick to share our dreams because we really want people to come along with us on our dreams, or because we want to show them where we're going without them. And I think it's important that we ask ourselves, why did Joseph share his dream? But even more important is we got to ask ourselves, why do we? It makes me wonder if sometimes in our battle to feel like that we have not lost our dreams, we are sharing things, sometimes even kind of filtered parts of our life, to sort of prove that we have it all, that we have made the dream, that we do have it together, that we aren't as dysfunctional as it seems that we are. In our moments of depression, maybe we're just trying to prove to ourselves and others that we do have a destiny. Now, I know that's probably deeper than you wanted to dive this weekend. If you're online right now, would you just put in there, I don't want to filter my life. That's all. I don't want to filter my life. I don't want to share my dreams too early. I want to let God cultivate, because I found that God will oftentimes be speaking to me, but there's many times some disruption in my life that I don't get God's, full message always the first time. Sometimes I've got to translate it a little bit more. Sometimes I got to let him speak to me a little bit more. So I wonder if sometimes we could just sit on it a little bit longer and allow God to let us live our dreams. And I wonder if rather than pictures of potential, we could actually live out our purpose, and that God would just see us, people just seeing us live out our life would be better. Anyway, that's just an aside. So we find Joseph in this moment, and he picks this fight with his brothers, and his brothers respond in kind. But like I told you, they took him out on this trip, and on this trip, they find themselves where they're going to trade and do some things with their father. And it says in Genesis chapter 37, verse 28, so when the Ishmaelites, who they were out and we would trade with, who were Midianite traders, came by, Joseph's brothers, they decided not to kill him by this time. They'd just thrown him down into this well, into this cistern. Joseph's brothers pulled him out of the cistern, and they sold him to them, these Midianite traders, for 20 pieces of silver, and the traders took him to Egypt. And here starts in Joseph's life. Here starts at 17 years old for Joseph. So put you into his shoes. His brothers were going to kill him. They throw him in this well. They decide, no, let's not kill him. Let's take him out. They all of a sudden trade him to these Midianite traders. He's been betrayed. He's been hurt. He's scared. Everything is getting ready to be lost. And here starts at 17 years old, living the dream. You're like, wait, what? He got thrown into a well. His brothers were going to kill him. You're telling me that betrayal, and I'm speaking to you now about your betrayal, the person who betrayed you, you're telling me betrayal at the hands of his brothers was the start of something? You're telling me that being thrown down in this well and then drug out and shown that the people you thought loved you the most don't love you at all is the start of something? You're talking about, I had this dream that my brothers were going to bow down to me, but not only did they not bow down to me, they took me to my lowest place, and you're telling me that this is the start of something? You're telling me that even though she left me and doesn't want to be married to me anymore, it's the start of something? You're telling me that even though my kid's addiction has come back again, it's the start of something? How is that so? What we see in Joseph's life is this was the beginning of living the dream, not just wasted time. I wonder if sometimes what we so easily see as lost, God would call something else. We label things, don't we? That was a lost season in my life. That was a bad decade. That was a low time. We talked about last week. We go to low places, right? And we label it. We go, I don't even want to think about that. Many of you are like, I don't even like to talk about that time in my life. And so I wonder if when we're saying, I lost so much time running from God. I was running from God in my 20s. I was running from God in my 30s, or whatever decade it was for you. You can go, I lost so much time running from God. And God's like, no, I was teaching you what it was like to be without me, and now you'll always appreciate me. I was teaching you something. I wonder when we go, man, I lost so many opportunities, business opportunities, career opportunities, relationship. I lost so many opportunities because of my bad choices. I wonder if God is able to take that bad choice, and though he did not cause it, and though he did not like seeing you in pain, I wonder if he can go, no, but we use that time for conditioning so that now you are going to be able to fight the fight that you need to, because you're spiritually tough now. You've been through some stuff now. You've seen me get you through some stuff now, and you're ready to fight. So let me give you a quick summary of the next 17 years for Joseph. He, as a slave, now is sold to Potiphar, who is a leader in the Egyptian government. And Joseph begins to rise in the ranks, and he begins to earn Potiphar's trust. Why? Because if you serve God and you live for God, I don't care what you go through, people will notice it and they will trust you, and you will get opportunities in life. It's a part of the dream. And so he's doing that, and Potiphar's wife likes Joseph as much as Potiphar does. And so we see her, she starts to make advances to Joseph. She starts to say, hey, Joseph, you can have me too. I'd like to have you, Joseph. Come on, Joseph, you're a young guy. Come on, Joseph, let's do this. And he turns her down repeatedly. Why? Again, because he's a man of character. He appreciates what Potiphar has done for him. He knows that he needs to honor and respect Potiphar, and so he turns her down, and he turns her down repeatedly, and eventually she comes after him and is trying to entice him and seduce him, and he goes to run away, and she pulls at his clothes, and he's just got on the robe, and so she pulls away the robe, and there he is caught naked. And so it's the first kind of Janet Jackson wardrobe malfunction that ever happened. It's actually in Genesis, the book of Genesis. And so he's running away, and he flees naked, and so because of the state that he is in and because of her embarrassment, she feels from the rejection. She tells Potiphar that Joseph tried to rape her. And so she turns him in, and he's arrested. Potiphar, of course, believes his wife, and even though he loves Joseph, he puts Joseph into prison. And while he is in prison, God brings something back to Joseph. And it's this ability to understand and translate dreams. Because remember, Joseph had a dream. And see, God was conditioning Joseph for something and training him for something and giving him this ability in something because he knew he was going to need it in his life. And so all of a sudden, there's this opportunity for interpreting dreams. And he interprets the dreams of Pharaoh correctly because, and for two of Pharaoh's staff actually who were in prison at first. And it looks like these government officials in Egypt have a real quick temper with putting people in prison because two of Pharaoh's people are in prison. And Joseph interprets those dreams and he says, hey, remember me when you get out of prison? And 2 years later, Pharaoh has this crazy dream, and this guy on his staff who was supposed to remember Joseph is like, oh yeah, there's this guy in prison. He interprets dreams really well. You could go and ask him about the dream. And so they go and get Joseph out of prison, and Joseph interprets the dream of Pharaoh. And he tells him, he's like, hey, here's what's going to happen. This dream that you had, Pharaoh, this is what's going to happen is there is going to be 7 years of feast, and everything's going to grow so well, and it's going to be amazing, and we're going to have everything that we need. But it's going to be followed by 7 years of famine. And he tells Pharaoh all about this, and he says, here's what we should do. What I believe this dream is instructing you to do, and what God is instructing you to do, is that we should put aside half of everything for the next 7 years so that in 7 years, when there's a famine, we will have everything that we need. In fact, we'll be in a position to have everything that the world needs, and that will give us power. And Pharaoh likes this idea, and he's like, this guy Joseph, not only can he interpret dreams, he seems to be pretty smart. And so he makes Joseph the CFO of Egypt. In fact, at this very moment, he becomes Potiphar. Remember Potiphar that's sitting in prison? He becomes Potiphar's boss, and he elevates him, and so he's there. And the famine turns out to be just as bad as the dream Joseph had thought it would be when he translated it. And so bad that people do in fact need Egypt's help. Even a group of people that were born to the sons of Isaac, these people that we would call the people, the Jewish people, the people of Israel, even those people, the people of Isaac, the people of Jacob, Joseph's family, yes, needs him. And so Joseph's brothers come on behalf of his dad, and there's a whole long story to this that I would love for you to read. And they come and they guess what? Bow before this CFO of Egypt, not even knowing it's their brother. And they ask him for help, and he gives them help, and he forgives them. And there's this beautiful story of reconciliation that happens, and we find that the whole nation of Israel is bowing to this man, Joseph. But we're also caught in this moment where realizing that Joseph was uniquely put into this position. This was the dream. He had to live through the process to get to the purpose. This was the dream. The dream was about him being the Savior and the Jesus type. It is a way in the Old Testament that God would often have people's lives point towards the Messiah of Jesus who would come and save the nation of Israel, the people of Israel, and the church, us, in such a grander way. But this was a smaller type of messianic kind of version of what Jesus would be, that shows that Joseph is put into this position to be able to save his family and to save his father and to save his mother. And so they come to him and they bow to him, but he serves them. And in their lowest moment, he picks them up. And we see that Joseph was positioned for this. He had to live the next 18 years of his life to get to this place, to get to the dream. And so he provides refuge for his family. And Joseph later is talking about it with his brothers. And it's in Genesis chapter 50, verse 20, that it really teaches us the lesson about lost time. It says, you, talking to his brothers, intended to harm me. Can I just give you permission for a moment to think about those who have betrayed you, to think about those who walked out on you, to think about those relationships that have gone in a different direction, and maybe it was because of some pain that was brought into your life. Can I just give you permission to think about that decade, that time, and go, 2020, you intended to harm me. The person that you have in your brain, you intended to harm me. Satan, the enemy of your soul, you intended to harm me. But God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people. God takes what the enemy meant for evil and he turns it for good. He takes what you've been through over the last few months and he turns it. And I want to leave you with this one thought today, that God is going to take what you thought was lost, what you thought was evil, and he's going to turn it for good. He's going to take the sickness and he's going to turn it for good. He's going to take the sin and the addiction and he's going to turn it for good. He's going to take the divorce and he's going to turn it for good. He's going to take the friend who betrayed you and he's going to turn it for good. He's going to take all of the pieces and parts of your life that you thought would be different and you count them as lost. He doesn't count them as lost. He counts it as learning. He counts it as an opportunity to build a legacy. He's going to turn it for good because he takes what the enemy meant for evil and he turns it for good. I want us
take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. Sing this out. You take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You're turning it around. You take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. Turn it for good. You turn it for good. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. You take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. Oh, you turn it for good. Oh, you take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You turn it for good. You turn it for
I can't believe another playlist series has already come and gone. We are so excited. Can you just give it up for the worship team? They amazing? Yeah. So next week, we start a brand new series called Undivided, where we're partnering with many other local churches to spread the message of unity within the body of Christ. As we continue to have hard conversations on race and social justice, make sure you continue to join us here and online. Now, as you head out, keep up with social distancing. Use the doors to my right. And if you have kids in Freedom Kids, go ahead and use the doors to the left. Y'all have a great week.